राधा वल्लभ की, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुब्रमण्य की, श्री प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, and the text is 47, 4.13.47. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya hitva gato vena subam prashuttam. Hitva gato vena subam prashuttam. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Nishita utaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Evam sanirvinna mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prasuptam. Hitva gato vena subam prasuptam. Evam sanirvena mananirpogrihan. Evam sanirvena mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Hitva gato vena subam prashuptam. Evam sanirvena mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prasuptam. Evam sanirvena mananirpogrihan. Nishita uthaya mahodayodaya. Labda nidro anupalakshito nirbhir. Hitva gato vena subam prasuptam. Evam sanirvena
Nishita Uttaya Mahodayodayat Araganito Anupalakshito Nirbir Hitva Gato Vena Subham Prashuttam.
Kids?
Evam sa nirvena madhonipo grihan Nishita Uttaya Mahodayodayat Arahanito Anupalakshito Nirbir Hitva Gato Vena Subham Prashuttam.
So you can play Mridanga and you can recite the Sanskrit verses as well. We'll talk about children today because this pastime is about kids, son, child, daughter. It's coming there. Okay. Evam thus sa he nirvinnamana being indifferent in mind. Nirpa king anga, sir. Griha from house. Nishite in the dead of night. Uthaya getting up. Udaya opulent by the blessings of great souls. Alabdha nidra being without sleep. Anupalakshita without being seen. Nirbhir by people in general. Hitva giving up. Gatha went off. Vena Subham the mother of Vena. Prashuttam sleeping deeply. Translation by Prabhupada. Thinking like that, King Anga could not sleep at night. He became completely indifferent to household life. Once, therefore, in the dead of night, he got up from the bed and left Vena's mother, his wife, who was sleeping deeply. He gave up all affection for his greatly opulent kingdom, and unseen by anyone, he very silently gave up his home and opulence and proceeded towards the forest. Purple. In this way, the word Mahodayodaya indicates that by the blessings of great soul, one becomes materially opulent. But when one gives up all attachment to material wealth, that should be considered an even greater blessings from the great souls. It was not a very easy task for the king to give up his opulent kingdom and young faithful wife, but it was certainly a great blessing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he could give up the attachment and go out to the forest without being seen by anyone. There are so many instances of great souls leaving home in this way in the dead of night, giving up attachment for home, wife and money. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami-niti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, this particular section of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam at the moment is a dialogue between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. And this chapter is actually ending soon, possibly tomorrow. And the chapter was titled The Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So this whole pastime began with the amazing transcendental pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, when he was ill-treated by his stepmother. We saw that. And after that, being of a Kshatriya blood, he wanted to take some actions, for the ill that was given to him. And we saw, that how he took to penance, to devotional service eventually. And by being correctly directed by his mother and by his spiritual master, Narad Muni, he took up the path of devotional service and became a great devotee, to the point that the Lord gave him his darshan and the Dhruva planet, as we all know. Then subsequently we saw, that how he ruled the kingdom for a long time, very long time. And then after that, he departed for the Dhruva Loka, on the transcendental airplane, together with his mother. So, then after that the chapter continues, the pastime continues to unfold after Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead, which is this chapter here now, which talks about the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Vidura is inquisitive to know that who were the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. So then we saw at the beginning of the chapter, that Maitreya Muni lists many different generations of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. And at this particular juncture, we are talking about one of the descendants, who is King Anga. And King Anga's wife was Sunita, and they had a son, or they might have had more than one son, I don't know. But one of the sons they had was Vena, which we are talking about at the moment. So what has happened in this chapter at the moment, or this section of this chapter, of this pastime, is that King Anga is disturbed. He was a pious king, a religious king, a devotee. And unfortunately, or maybe even fortunately, as per his thinking, he has got a very bad boy as his son. This boy, Vena, was full of atrocities, pretty rogue, criminal, vedra. He would even kill his friends when he was playing, as a kid. Imagine, playing with kids, and somebody just comes and kills you, or kills us. Sometimes it happens actually. We don't get killed, but there is little, abrasive behavior between kids as well, a lot of pushing and all that. So this was many times magnified, that kind of personality he was, Vena. So, Angas is going through a contemplation, introspection at the moment, in terms of what should be his course of action, given the situation that he is dealing with. Being a king, a religious person, having to deal with the son that is pretty notorious, in his kingdom. So he is not able to decide which way to go. Now, when I read this, my initial reaction was that actually there is a lot of resemblance that we can draw from this pastime to our own lives, especially for those who are married and have kids, and don't have kids either, or planning to have kids. I'm not sure about the Brahmacharis in terms of how you can relate to this. I'm sure you can draw some lessons out of it. But certainly, because here is a father who is contemplating what actions to take because he's got a bad son, definitely resonates with parents who might have a good son or a bad son, because his thinking process is very, very interesting. And a lot of several ways that he thinks is quite opposite to how a normal, or let's say a normal parent would think. And what are they? So let's draw his pastimes first, and then we'll try to relate it to our lessons that we can learn. Actually, I had prepared my thoughts to tell you how he can relate to us, and then go to King Anga, but spontaneously, desire is coming to tell his pastime first. So, he initially thinks, that those parents who have a good son are glorious. they must have done a lot of pious activities to get good son. Because he is dealing with a son that is Rahu said. And then he's saying, what misfortune I must have done to have, to have begot a son like this, who is bringing bad reputation to the family, to the kingdom, to the society on the whole. Then he thinks that actually, and this is, when there is almost like, a topsy-turvy thought, thinking going in his mind, total flip side, downside up as they say. He thinks that actually a good son is bad. A good son, having a good son is bad. Why? Because a good son will bring a lot of happy environment in the house. Now, as Grihasthas, we already know house is attachment. Now, add to that a happy and a healthy and a very intelligent and good behaved child means more attachment. Now, house becomes our place of joy. So then he says actually, or thinks, that having a bad son is a blessing in disguise. Not in disguise, it is a blessing actually. He thinks a bad son is a blessing in itself. Why? Because bad son means a hellish house, good for detachment. Rather than waiting till, in our lifestyle, rather than waiting till the son has grown up and gone to, Melbourne grammar and then become, academically very, very profound, academics, well paid, white collar job, in a very good office, attachments will come more and more, because, we'll think that, Mera son, my son has become glorious. So it brings joy to the parents, but that means more attachment. I'll translate it in English, but in Hindi there was a song, Papa kahte hain, bada naam karega. It was a very famous song when I was growing up. What it means, that the father is saying that the son will bring a lot of, good reputation to the family until the son grows up, and then becomes another, Xerox copy of Vena. So, there was yet another one, comes to mind, and again translated in English. It was, Raju ban gaya gentleman. Father thinks that his Raju, one day will become a gentleman, he'll become so, famous, whether he'll become the best of cricketers in the country, or he will become the best of, managers in the office, or best of whatever. So very, very high desires parents naturally have of their kids, growing up. So Vena is thinking actually a good son is bad, and a bad son is good from a sense of attachment and detachment point of view, and which is not so untrue. I don't know whether it's true or not in terms of our practical application, but certainly he has got some merit in his thinking process. Yeah. So then what he does, which is where we are at the moment, today he makes a very heavy decision, albeit pretty easily comes to him. What does he think? He thinks, let's just read this again. Now, thinking like that means thinking that a good son is bad and a bad son is good, because bad son is good for detachment. King Anga could not sleep at night. Now we also go through some sleepless nights. When our kids grow up, especially around their teenage time, a lot of sleepless nights starts coming. Kids are sleeping, but we are sleepless. He became completely indifferent to household life, immediate detachment now. Once, therefore, in the dead of night, on one particular night, he got up from his bed and left Vena's mother, who was Sunita, in other words, Anga's wife, who was sleeping deeply. He gave up all attractions for his greatly opulent kingdom. Now, this is possibly too much. Yeah? From our again, practical application point of view. Giving up, for him to give up a bad son, fair enough, he gave it up. But what he is also giving up is a greatly opulent kingdom. To give up kingdom, that he was living very comfortably is a high task. And it was common for those times, in Vedic times, for a lot of great souls to give up material attachments, great kingdom, without any elections and political roles and all. They would just go away from their kingdom. But how many of us can leave our home, and give all the money to somebody else, and leave our car, credit cards, everything that we accumulate in the household, give it away at the dead of one night. Bit tough. Not impossible, but tough. As seen by and unseen by anyone, he very silently gave up his home and opulence and proceeded towards the forest. And Prabhupada writes in the last line of the paper, I'll read that. So there are many instances of great souls leaving home in this way in the dead of night, giving up home, wife, and money. So, when I was contemplating on this, a few other thoughts came to mind. Then, if you see our standard of living, lifestyles in where we are at the moment, in a developed country, if you compare it to what lifestyles and standards of living and comforts, perhaps our parents or our great parents went through, in a lot of ways, there is no doubt that they are material comforts that we almost take it for granted. Especially, in this country, let's say. The material comforts are, definitely there. At the click of a button, we can turn, our AC on in the office, at home. We don't have to suffer, the heat of the summer. We can quarantine ourselves, to a cooler environment. We can easily get into a nice car and drive to wherever we want to, on a very smooth road, no road bumps, and potholes and all that. We can easily afford an iPhone, and chat with people, Facebook, WhatsApp, Viber. We can easily get a laptop, and bring the whole ocean of knowledge, on front of our screen. So, things are comfort. So when we reflect and perhaps think, and I come from a very rural background, of a farming community, looking at the hard labor they used to do, or my father used to do, or my community used to do, toiling the earth in the heat of the sun, on a 35, 40 degrees day, pretty heavy labor, sweating. Going, from one place to the other would mean literally walking or on a horse. Again, there's no air conditioning when you're riding a horse, apart from the natural air flow. I mean, that was tough. If you have come from a background of, very farming community, in a developing or underdeveloped country, you'll resonate with more what I'm saying. For those who have grown up, in an apartment in a city, you probably even don't know, that milk comes from a cow. People just take it that milk comes from Safeway. That's the line of thinking. That's how far I can go back. Surely milk comes from a fridge. What's cow? So anyway, like that. So, but one thing in common is, if we contrast that an environment of hard labor and sweating in the heat to where we are, or I am, let's say for that matter, in a nice comfortable office, typing in front of my laptop without much hard labor, what is common between the two is there is still sweating. That was my realization. There was sweating under the hot sun. Here I am sweating inside an air conditioning office. One was sweating from hard labor in the sun, the other one is sweating from stress, sweating from anxieties, sweating from demands, sweating from deadlines, sweating from layers of bosses sitting on top of you or standing on top of you, demanding one deliverable after one deliverable after one deliverable. Sweating from the fear of losing our job. Sweating from the anxiety, the unknown of the future of our children, which is what Anga is facing here. What will my child do when they grow up? And as parents, again, I said this more resonates with the parents, So, what I was saying, firstly, if you contrast the landscape of where we were to where we are in terms of material growth, undoubtedly there is material opulence, things that King Anga could afford, lot of us in that matter are small kings. Because possibly we have more material opulence than even King Anga could have had. You know? He definitely didn't have a car, and Wi-Fi and all these things, which we have, an aeroplane, to travel from one place to the other. So certainly material opulence is there, but the anxiety level has also gone up. So while his stress was, in previous landscape, there was stress from hard labor and from the uncomfort of life. Now we are, stressed even from the comfortable life. So in other words, somebody said, it is a comfortable misery. Previously there was uncomfortable misery, and now there is comfortable misery. To the point that we actually forget that we are miserable. In the guise of all the material comfort, we forget that we are still undergoing the misery. And the statistic shows that mental stress is the biggest problem. So there is this sweating again. Yeah? So, as parents again, our anxiety, so car parking now, the anxiety from the other material items, as parents, we go through this anxiety of what the future of our children will be. And sometimes it can be so bewildering, because the choices that we have to make seems great. On one hand, we want our children to be like Prahlad Maharaj. We might not be devotees, or at least sincere or pure devotees. But we think that we may be Hiranyakashipus, but our child should be Prahlad Maharaj at least. So we have got that kind of ambition. But equally, while we want our devotees, our children to excel in devotion, with the best of the devotees, best behave, best of mannerisms, best of culture, best of respects, we also want them to excel in academic forum as well. We want our child to go through all the stress of examination after examination. Send them to Kumon, send them to private tuition, and send them to set them for NAPLAN exams. This is primary school level only. Set them for this is year 4. This stress starts coming. Set them for NAPLAN exams, ICAS exam. Then there is Henderson's, and then there is Jameson College. And it just goes on and on and on. And what do we desire? We desire our children to chant 16 rounds nicely at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, which takes 1.5 hours, 2 hours maybe for children. But we want also them to do all these thorough courses so that they get one day to Melbourne Grammar. And in Melbourne Grammar, we hope that they don't meet Charlotte, because we want them to marry Sita. Because if Charlotte comes in home, then unless she's a devotee, then another, there's cultural conflicts and so much. Not that I'm against anything. I'm just saying for the sake, our desires and our ambitions and our hopes always have this constant bombardment of what the reality throws on us. So this paradox of excelling the children in devotion and excelling them in material education can be very, very bewildering for a parent. And I can say that I'm going through that at home. For a child who's 10 years old, it's just too hard to manage both, to ensure, I guess we can't ensure, but to take all the necessary measures with the hope that they become devotee, and at the same time, thinking that if their destiny, but if their free will is not to be solved, then we need to give them that safety of material education so that they can put bread and butter on their table. And for that matter, even if they become devotees, they still need bread and butter on the table. So it's a constant stress for parents. So the point I was making is that the stress that King Anga is going through at the moment is no different from what we go through as parents. So a lot of insights we can get through from his own realizations. Now, quite interestingly, so first contrast I was saying, that his line of thinking is under the duress, he thinks that having a good son is better than having a bad son is good, which is quite opposite to a natural way of thinking, yeah. But from a point of detachment, there is merit in it. Secondly, I have seen that in my experience, as a Bhakti Vriksha facilitator for some time, and I've seen this many times, when people come to Bhakti Vrikshas, at the beginning of their journey in Krishna consciousness, and these are new people who come to Krishna consciousness, especially for those family, who are not able to, for those mothers who are not able to conceive, the family wants a child but they are not able to procreate. Their dependence, initially because they come from the background of those rites and rituals, of doing a lot of punya, pious activity, to get a son, to get a daughter. Having that conception, being brought up in that way, especially if they come from Indian background, Indian body background. Their dependence on Krishna increases many folds, because by chanting, by eating prasadam, by mingling with the devotees, their faith in the Lord increases many folds in the mood of the prayer to get a nice devotee child in the home. Now, what happens now after that, not always, but sometimes, in fact many times, people stop coming to Bhakti Vriksha after they get the child. In that almost like a sudden faith, a leap of faith in the Lord to give them a child, and when the child appears in the family, they don't come to the Bhakti Vriksha. And when you pick up the phone to say, I haven't seen you for a few weeks, okay, fair 3 months you didn't come. Understandably, you were busy with the raising of the child, new lifestyle, a lot of demands, sleepless night, like King Ganga, because child is crying, especially for the poor mother, who has to wake up and feed the baby, etc., etc. So when they don't come for 3 months, when they don't come for 6 months, then, when you network with them to say, why are you not coming? They give very interesting reason, very, very interesting reason. The reason being that we don't have time. We don't have time for this process because we have a child in the house. Now if you see the paradox again, the contrast. Initially, we come to the Lord to get a child. And when we get a child, then we say, Lord, we don't have time for you. Little bit later. So, if we bring that all together, my own take on this is, the Lord can make many arrangements for us to come closer to Him. And therefore, a pure devotee always sees any action or any happenings in his life as a stepping stone to get closer to the Lord. So, it does not matter in that sense, in that context, whether the son that we have, whether the son that one has is a bad son or a good son, a bad daughter or a good daughter, no son or many sons. That is all material parameters. It does not matter for the purpose of devotional service. Bhakti is not dependent on any time, place and circumstance. It is open to anyone and everyone at any stage of life, at any point in their journey. So therefore, when we go through trials and tribulations in our own lives, regarding whether it's a family affair, children's affair, our jobs, our health, whatever it be, if you take that situation as a boon from the Lord to push us further and further in our Krishna consciousness, then that is an opportunity to grow higher in our Krishna consciousness. Contrastingly, we can take the difficult times in our life as a setback, and perhaps get morose and disappointed to say, I have done so much of service, I've been chanting 16 rounds so sincerely, but why is this bad thing happening to me? When we go through our initial days of Krishna consciousness and those who come through the educational process of Krishna consciousness, mainly through Bhakti Vrikshas, Bhaktivedanta programs, Evan Yogas, and when we go through the initial that seminar is there called Science of Self-Realization, We are told, that why do good things happen to bad people and why do bad things happen to good people. That we theoretically understand. And we can explain to many people, when those who are new to Krishna consciousness ask these questions at our initial stage of our own Krishna consciousness. Why do bad things happen to good people? And why do good things happen to bad people? We give such profuse answers, because we start liking the philosophy. So that is easy, theoretically. Why do good things happen to bad people? And why do bad things happen to good people? But where we struggle, and for that matter, I continue to struggle, is not why bad thing happens to good people, but when bad things happen to good people. Why bad things happen to good people, we can explain very easily, theoretically, from a philosophical point of view. But when bad things happen to good people, when bad things happen to us, that jolt comes. We say, why in my life? Philosophical understanding might be there, but the practical realization of, is this really? How do I see this as a blessing of the Lord? To take that step further. When we lose the job, when our kids are not becoming devotees, when they are not excelling in education, when, especially at our age, once we are past 40, the health problem starts. Can't sit properly without back support, or the eyesight starts becoming weak, memory starts losing, getting weaker, internal problems, all those things start happening to us, to our near and dear ones. Then we say, when this thing is happening to me, oh, Krishna, deal with me a little gently. That's the prayer that we offer, or that's the prayer that I start offering to the Lord. Please correct me, but please correct me gently. I'm a little soft. I know I deserve this, but at the moment I'm not really able to see this as a boon from you, as a stepping stone to feather my Krishna consciousness. But King Anga saw that. King Anga saw that this situation of having such a notorious child in the family is a blessing of the Lord. And he's praying in that mood, and then he left the house. Yeah? So, sometimes people question that, okay, this has happened to my life, or this arrangement was made by the Lord, but why do I deserve this? There's confusion in terms of, do I deserve this situation of karmic reactions? Or is the Lord guiltier of this? Because who actually has got the choice? There's a contradiction in the line of thinking to say, if I had the choice, then I can suffer for this, like King Anga did, or as we do. But if the Lord is the supreme controller, then why is this karmic reaction coming to me? Because he should be responsible for it. A basic question that I get asked in the Bhaktivedanta. Who is in charge? Who is the controller? Why is karmic reactions given to the soul when the in charge of every action and reaction is the Lord? So, to clear the misconceptions, what we need to understand is that the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller, but He is not the sole controller. There's a difference between Supreme Controller and sole controller, S-O-L-E. There are many controllers. The more empowered controllers are called demigods. The little less empowered controllers, which are you and me, are called, jivas. Jivas can also be demigods, but the living beings, We are also controllers. We have got a lot of things within our control. But we are not the supreme controller. The Lord is the supreme controller, and He's got many controllers sitting underneath Him. So the reason that we get reactions, I'm moving a little bit away from the pastimes to a philosophical connection with the pastime. So a little bit technical now. So, there's a supreme controller and there are many small controllers. So we get the benefits, the rewards and the punishments for our action depending on the little control that we have. The Lord out of His sweet will, has given us free will. But our free will is very minute, very limited. So the Lord determines our scope of work, but He does not determine our work. There's a difference between scope of work and our work. So for example, when we do a job, we are given a job description in the office, let's say. You are given a job description of what you are supposed to be doing in the office. Then one may question that if a job description is given to me, then why do I get less bonus than somebody else? Or why do I get more bonus than somebody else? Because if the job is defined by the company, why am I remunerated differently? Why is my promotion different from somebody else's if my job description is there? So, what we understand is the job description is the scope of work. What we do within that scope is our prerogative. And therefore the rewards and the punishments come accordingly. So similarly, the Lord gives us our scope of work, which is called in Sanskrit Kshetra. Chapter 13 of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam gives detailed description of our Kshetra, our field of activity, our scope of work. What do we do within that Kshetra is up to the Jiva, according to his free will, to decide positives and negatives, the choices that is given. Vedic scriptures give us the example of a cow tied to a pole. When the cow is tied to the pole with the rope, the cow has got the free will to roam within that area that the rope allows, within that circumference. She can eat the healthy grasses or the unhealthy grasses, or drink this water or the clean water, or if there's a river, she can cross the river or not cross the river, depending on the length of the rope is the cow's kshetra. So the cow has got free will to operate within that kshetra, within that scope of work, within that job description, if you like. But beyond that boundary, she cannot go. So it's called minute independence. And her rewards and her punishments come according to the type of what she eats, what she becomes. So similarly for us as well. So our choice is there. Krishna has given us the choice. He has not made us as robots, as mechanics. He has given us the choice to decide positive or negative. Of course, He has to sanction whatever we choose. The sanction comes from the Lord, but He does not impel us. Again, there's a difference between sanction and impel. Impel means you force somebody to do it. Sanction means you allow somebody to do it. So when we make the decision, the Lord always prefers us to make the healthy decision. But if you choose to make the wrong decision, He sanctions it but does not impel it. So because we choose, we get the reactions. So choices are there in the life. As somebody said, life is BCD. Life is BCD. There is birth and there is death. B for birth and D for death. We didn't have any choice of where to be born, how to be born, when to be born, which family to be born. That we didn't have the choice. We didn't have the choice on the B. We don't have the choice on the D as well. D is for death. When to die, where to die, how to die. No choice. But in between B and D there is C. And C is for choice. And there is choice and choice and choice. Right from the beginning till then, from the womb till the tomb, our life is full of choices. And that choices is within our kshetra, within our field of activity, within our scope. So, sometimes the decisions can be very heavy in that kshetra, like King Anga is having a bad son. In our lifestyle, in our life, we also go through time to time with these choices. So we have to make the right choices using scriptures as a framework of reference for making those decisions. Okay, so I'll just quickly summarize. We are reading the pastime of King Anga, who is one of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. This particular pastime at the moment is a dialogue, and for that matter, even the previous chapters were the dialogue between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. And Vidura is now inquisitive after the departure of Dhruva Maharaj to the Dhruva planet. What were the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj? And in that order of listing the descendants, at the moment Maitreya Muni is talking about King Anga, who had a notorious son in Vena. And seeing the notorious nature of his son, Anga goes through contemplation and introspection. And he starts with the fact that those who have good sons are fortunate. must have done very, very pious activities in their previous lives. But then he thinks that from the point of view of detachment from material things and attachment to Supreme Personality of Godhead, having a bad son is actually good. So in other words, he's not blaming the situation onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He reflects that to get a bad son is also a reaction of my own activity I must have done in the past. So it is not so much what our position is, but it is more important what our choice is. So whatever situation we are thrown in, we can always see it as a blessing of the Lord and take it as a stepping stone towards feathering our Krishna consciousness more and more. These good and bad reactions are coming to us according to the kshetra, according to the field of work that we have operated in the past and continue to operate today, and those will come. So rather than lamenting and regretting the reactions that come out of it, an intelligent person takes it as a boon of the Lord, as a blessing of the Lord, and takes it for the further development of his Krishna consciousness. As Chaitanya Prabhu says, when miseries happen, when miseries happen, those who have faith in the Lord become more faithful. And those who don't have faith in the Lord become more unfaithful. So misery is the constant. The faithful will become more faithful, and the unfaithful will become more unfaithful. Where we go depends on our own choice. And that is dependent on the sadhana that we have. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Madhavananda.
Thank you for the class. But you mentioned that it's always a boon if we have a bad son that was just fasting things. But we see that in case of devotees, if we have a son or a daughter who is bad, like who is not the way we want them to be, so we can't just renounce everything, go and shine. It's like being a mother, devotee, or any mother. Our mind is always on the kids. Like we always pray for them. We always want them to become like good. So where that question of detachment will come, even if the kids are bad or good.
Yeah. So the question was, that we have to take all the situations as a boon, as a blessing of the Lord. But practically speaking, as a grihastha, as a householder, if we are going through this tumultuous cycle, unfortunate boon of having a bad son in the family, then how do we cultivate that detachment? Because our mind will be, holistically engrossed in thinking about the betterment of the child, and perhaps the anxiety that will consequently result from that constant thinking of the child of what his future beholds. So how do we develop that sense of detachment? I don't have any practical realization of that because I am not there at the moment. But theoretically speaking, feel free for others to also throw in their realizations. Contemplating on it. In our sphere of kshetra that I was talking about, I had already kind of said that for us, that detachment from family, from money, from the wealth, seems too far out. Because in any case, we are all working. Most of us are working so hard, to have a comfortable lifestyle so that we can do our devotional service. So it seems big, out of our reach to actually give up the money. Prabhupada says, giving up attachment for home, wife, and money. Now, and he quite correctly pointed out to these three things that are generally the biggest cause of attachment. Husband for the purpose of the wife as well, if the husband is good. Attachment to home. Living home and coming and living in a forest is impractical almost in Kalika. But even coming to a very less materially opulent place, like Mayapur or Vrindavan, is a desire for a lot of devotees, but not necessarily many take that step. It's a hard thing. To give up the wife, because who is going to cook for us? That fear is there for the husband. And to give up the money almost seems impossible. If anything, we want money. Money is sweeter than the honey. So between the wife and the money is also a conflict there. So how to develop that detachment? I don't know. Blessings of the Guru, blessings of the spiritual master can work. In that kind of situation, we definitely will need, very proper counseling. If that child is that kind of behavior, because Prabhupada also writes here, maybe the blessings is the answer. Because he writes in this ways, the Mahodayodaya indicates that by the blessings of the great soul, one becomes materially opulent. So, by the blessings of the pure devotees, we can get material opulence. But equally, then he writes, what's the second sentence he writes? But, when Prabhupada writes but, it's interesting. But, when one gives up the attachment of the material wealth, including the bad family, the bad child, that should be considered an even greater blessings from the great souls. So from the great souls, we can get material blessings. But to give up those material opulence that comes out of it is even a more greater blessings. Prabhupada tells us in the first line of the Bhagavad. But how to practically develop it, I don't know. Gopavindas Prabhu has gone. Adi Krishna Prabhu, you want to throw something? If you want to know. How to practically develop it, I don't know. I mean, it's a hard one. See, I don't want to go through it personally speaking. Apart from Guru Sadhu and Shastra, and keeping faith in Krishna, to improve the situation, improvise the situation that we are facing, we just have to deal with it. And we know of devotees who go through that actually. We know of devotees when the child is not so Krishna consciousness.
Even that when they are asking from the gurus, even they are advising, like they don't advise them to renounce everything and go. They advise them to make a good relationship with the kids.
Yeah.
So that means no detachment.
No, have a good relationship with the kids does not mean there is no detachment. For that matter, when we have a good relationship with a good child, does not mean that there is necessarily attachment. There is a difference between attachment and responsibility, and detachment and irresponsibility. When we have a child in the house, that does not mean that we disregard the child, and that does not also mean that when we are saving the child, and having that loving exchanges with the child is a sign of attachment. No, that's not true. Prabhupada said that the children are deities. We have to save the children, in the best possible ways. They have to be treated as the deities. If anything, for the grihasthas, the service starts at home, with the child. Because it is the duty of the father or duty of the parents to make sure that the child becomes Krishna conscious. And how do we make others Krishna conscious, which are not in our family? How do we advocate Krishna consciousness to the Bhaktivedanta people, to the people on the street, to the colleagues in the office? What is there that makes them Krishna consciousness? Amongst all that thing, one thing that gels always is the friendship. Is the loving friendship with the colleague, the loving friendship with the family members, the loving friendship with the Bhaktivedanta members makes them devotees. Of course, on top of the prasadam and the philosophy. But you can give them all the philosophy, but if the loving relationship is not there, then people don't take Krishna consciousness. So, if we can give so much of love to others, then why can it be so that we are not expected to love our family members? That will not be true, that doesn't hold water. So the love has to be there. The loving exchange without the child will mean that the family is bereft of something that's quite normal. But attachment means, when we are raising the child with the expectation that the child will become a great personality so that he brings reputation to me, to my family. That becomes material attachment immediately. Because there is something that I want out of this. It's like a long-term investment in the child. You will become so glorious that people will ask, who is his father? Madhavananda. So then glory will come to us. So that becomes material attachment. But to love a child so he can become Krishna consciousness is definitely not attachment. At least that's my understanding. I stand corrected. But that is not. Because otherwise the society will collapse. Without love in the house, society will collapse. Families will collapse. The meaning of the word family will be eradicated from the words of the dictionary. It doesn't make sense. So definitely, and you are doing a wonderful job. By bringing your kids to Mangalarti every day, that's the best loving service that you are giving them. How do you do it? I don't know. But I'm sure I can learn a lot of things from you. Glorious, the kids are glorious. But the motive has to be, that they has to become Krishna consciousness for their going back to God. not so much about what results I will get. So there can be attachment and detachment both ways, with devotional service and non-devotional service. Okay? I've not answered your question fully because I don't know the answer in terms of how to practically do it. But some thoughts that comes to mind is, Guru Shadran Shastra, getting that blessings from the devotee devotees. Prabhupada writes in the first line of the paper that blessings might work. Because I know it's hard. Philosophically, theoretically, we can give answers, but practically, how to take that as a blessing, as a boon is hard. I understand. I agree with you. I would struggle as well. I am struggling. Okay, anything else? No? Alright. So we will stop here. Thank you so much for your contribution in this session.